Greeting everybody. I'm not Ann Forrester, but this is ToolBox Live, and if you want to know what's going on, hang out. All right, so there we go. So here's what we've got going on today, watching the little lower box. Ann got called away, so she had to leave, and so I've hijacked the show. So we will continue with Ann next Wednesday, but if you are here ready to get up and paint a dragon, that's not what we're going to cover. What we're going to do today is something that they came up with as an idea, is I need a figure for my game tonight. I need it fast, but I want it to look good. So, hello, Kesmania. So what we're going to do here is just muddle through this. This is, there's not really a technique for this or anything. This is just the way I do it. And when I was playing D&D a lot, being the painter in the group, I was constantly, oh, paint this, paint this, paint this. So this is just sort of this is how I came around with it. So we're going to start. If I miss a question, I'm going to try and do both. But I've got Justin here to watch, and he'll just feed them out to me and things like that. And I'll talk you through what I do. This is just how I always did it, so I don't really call it anything. If you see other techniques, it's blended in part of this, that's fine. I just pick up junk as I go along and just put it all together. So what we have today are a dwarf. I'm going to set these up.
Thanks for the sub,
so that you can
Jared.
see there. And a catfolk. Now these are out of the Bones 4 line. All I did was prep them. Because of my technique, or what I do, I went from a black. So I sprayed them black, and then you'll see this one's got a little dry brush on it. So I did him first beforehand, just to sort of show where we're going. So what we're going to do here, the way I sort of approach this, is relatively simply trying to keep it as simple. I like to incorporate sort of advanced features or techniques, but you just don't have the time. We want to do these within an hour, or at least be really close to the hour. That's the goal. So how I would do is I would start from black, I would dry brush it white, then I would more or less pick out where I want my light to be, which is generally all over the top. This isn't an advanced OSL kind of piece, but you could incorporate that if the hammer glows, things like that. But you would just go from there, and then from that, then I start to work into it, what I'm looking for. Today, on the catfolk, we're going to be rather simple, and I just sort of imagine them as a simple dressing creature. So simple colors, simple items, things like that, washes, but get it together and pull it together. I usually work in contrasts because those will help the figure stand out. If you get too much into, I feel that if you get too much into subtle transitions and real and this, that, it just sort of muddies up the figure. So I like to have something that sort of stands out. Dwarves, I've always liked painting dwarves. With that, we're going to go with more of the battered, beat up look. We'll do, again, to keep it fast, we're going to do some simple basic armor techniques and washes and things of that nature. It's sort of how I approach it, and so that we can wrap it. So I'll prime black, I'm going to dry brush it white. I'll pull some more white in it to help me decide where I want to be lighter and darker. Let's talk more painting things. Okay. So anyway, then after I've done that, we'll get the colors on, and then we start to pull it together at the end. So with that said, as you can see where we're going, all I do for this, I have this on the wrong side. I know. I'll get it set up here. I literally just walked up here 3 minutes ago.
We do not sell Fortnite figures, Weber BR.
Fortnite figures?
Yes. Weber BR, by the way, happens to be my buddy from Florida.
Ah.
So he tuned in clearly.
So, anyway, I use just an old blister card, use part of it, get the dry brush, and that's really all I'm looking for. And so I just start off really light, because I'm not really, this is a dry brush technique, I'm just wanting to pull out the various details on the piece. So it's more of a scattering, I can see where my lines are. Let me get this in the camera. There we go, I'm sort of playing a game here. Looking backwards.
Come towards the camera.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. There we go. So I'm just really at this point spotting the figure. And so as I go through and do this, all I'm going to do is be pouring out, we have obvious fur textures, the gloves, the armor, the quiver, things of this nature. And then I'll just keep doing this till I get to where I like it. And if I want an area that's going to be a little bit lighter than most, I'll just go a little bit heavier on the second coat or the second go-round. You have to bear with me, it's sort of awkward to do this in this manner, but we will get there. So.
No, Grandma. Ann is not going to be on Reaper Live tomorrow, to my knowledge. Maybe
not
she
tomorrow.
Someone asked.
Oh, on Reaper Live.
They
tomorrow?
assumed we were
Oh,
just
is she
doing
going to
a-
shoot a sub for me?
We're doing a
That'd be
trading
good,
places
yeah.
thing.
That would be fun. Ian's always good on a show. So we'll do that. I get this guy going, and at this point, this is where this dwarf is. So I'm now actually going to go back and pick a little bit harder on that. And y'all have seen this, you just never seen me do it. On the early Reaper Live episodes when we were painting, and those would also transpire at about 45 minutes, the same thing to pick the model up and be done with it in 45 minutes is more or less the same technique. Now you can speed this up if you want to. You could go with spray paint, a white spray paint. That's really good if you want to have a direct focus light, but you're in a dungeon, it's sort of everywhere, and I like them to just be what they are and who they are.
Which dwarf is that, Ed, by the way?
I don't know the name, I just know it's out of Bones 4.
It's Bones 4.
Yeah.
Oh, Silverthorn looks like she answered. She, he, I actually don't know.
Actually, when we were going to hijack the show, I went down to where they're processing bones for shortages and damages for people that had issues with their order, and just dug through the bins and found something that looked like it'd be something fun that I could get painted and do. So as you can see, the dwarf's got a little bit more done to him in the white than the catfolk did. And so I'll just sit here and I'll play with this till I get all the various sides done. Don't lose that mark. And I can start pulling it together. And what we're setting up here is where I'm really going to end up with where I want lighter colors, darker colors, things of that nature, and what we want to do and play around with. What's Ron? Oh, Ron's favorite saying, we're not paid professionals. So
Looks like people want Captain Hammerbeard now, which Silverthorn seems to have specified
now?
that. Silverthorn said that that model looks like it's Captain Hammerbeard.
Hammerbeard.
Yeah.
That would definitely be a Ron name.
So, even if we haven't, I'm sure it's got a real name, but it sounds to me like we should, if it isn't already, change it to that.
Okay. Now, in this particular case, I left the back of his shield there. It's hard for me to see where I'm looking through that camera tripod. But I've left it black, and I haven't dry brushed it, because we're going to use sort of a weathering effect on that, because like I said, we want to do the dwarf beat up in the dungeon, works a lot. Not necessarily, has probably a different set of armor for Saturday night. So, we'll work with him first. I will go in with the gold, and today I'm using all the Pathfinder paints, and I haven't really had a chance to work through a lot of them, play with them. This will be the most today that I've yet to play with them. So I'm going to have to hunt for some colors as we go here. Okay. Now, okay, we'll start with the shield. So on the shield, what we're going to do there is I've chosen a light color. This particular one is Kiln Beige. There we go. Down. Oh, there. To the left. Your left, not my left. There we go. Now, what I would be simulating with this is that the shield was originally painted a nice yellow. And with time, both the colors faded and it's gotten beaten up. So.
Hey, actually, Ed,
Yes, sir.
since I don't know that we covered it, or maybe I missed it, what are you painting with today entirely?
The Pathfinder paints.
Pathfinder
I just
paints?
got through, going through that. Yes.
Just making sure.
And so that's what I was saying. I haven't had a chance to really go through them yet. Now, for this particular part, I'm actually going to paint the paint on. It's going to be a moderate coat. And we'll probably have to put maybe a second coat on it.
It's got a hammer that's raised above his head. What's his name and what's his skill? Yes,
So,
he's painting it right now.
so we'll come back to this guy. We've got to let that dry. And that's hence the alternating. Now, with the cat folk, I haven't really worked through. Man, I really don't know. I want to pick up some spots. I think I'm going to add some more white to it. Okay.
Yeah, I was calling it a
I'm looking down
lifeline.
here. If you need a question, get
I can help you guys
Justin on it. He'll read it out for me.
out. I'll attempt to.
Yeah. I don't want to just start droning. I can drone forever and go nowhere with it, but
Also, Dark Knight, I was calling it a lifeline.
a lifeline.
Yeah,
That was from a game show, wasn't it?
yeah, I think it still runs. Does
I have no idea.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Is that still a?
Oh, I have no idea. I
Does it
never
still
really
run?
ever
I
watched
have no
TV. I
idea.
watch movies, but I don't really watch TV.
Oh, looks like okay. Here it is. That okay. The name of that dwarf is Dark Dwarf Pounder. This is per Ron. I'm not making this up. Dark Dwarf Pounder, and the SKU number is 03898. But that's the metal version. So the bones version, I don't have that SKU, I assume. But I think it's available in metal right now. So if you guys really like it,
All right. So part of what I do to help speed this up, now that I've got the white and the black contrast, is I'm going to pick a medium brown. Oh, let's see, we have choices here, it looks like. That's got too much gray, although we could go with a gray. Brown would be too predictable. Gray could be fun. Let's see what we have in the way for a Matina charred brown. Okay.
Actually, Grim, we are going to give away some more Drown Nipple Pink. Just because Anne's not here doesn't mean we can't give it away. Thankfully, she showed us where it was, so we can give it away.
Oh, don't worry. I discovered the stash.
No, we did. We discovered
Yeah.
it. We snuck in and found it.
Yeah. It was a nighttime operation. She enjoys that, and she'll be at ReaperCon with it, and you have to find her to get a copy or a bottle. Oh, man.
Speaking of which, go ahead and type #free if you guys want to win some more Drown Nipple Pink. It's now open.
By the way, before I came up here, part of why I got up here late, is in the paint department of all things, Sadie was loading in a canister of the yellow pigment and dropped the can. And so we had to move the whole paint machine out to the car wash. And they were in the process, set it up for them to be spraying, and that's when I realized my time was almost out. Okay. Yeah, we'll go with the gum. This is Gorze Gray. Still, I keep putting it on the wrong side. No, that's even more wrong.
That's a good one, Reaper Dave. Did you see what Reaper Dave said?
No,
He said, "Yeah, you lost a bet, and it was either this or tell Dave that he's awesome."
Tell he's awesome.
So naturally you did the show.
Yeah, I did the show. I got to go now. I'm going to do the show. So that'll be what we end up working with. And then I'm also going to put that color on. Let me get used to these rotations there. Got to remember out of the Pathfinder. So now the way I'll do it is I'll look for the darker one, which is the Gug Umber. And we're actually going to wash it on, but it's not really a wash. I don't know what I call what you do here, but I'll try to demonstrate it. Is, find if I got some water. You could do this on a wet palette, I guess, but it's really, let me do it on this so you can see it on the card. And to cut down absorption, put it on that side. Okay, so we take the paint and we just pour it on there. And then what I'm going to do is add some water, but we're not going for a wash. What we're really wanting to do is just thin it down. So now, as we all know, if we do just a straight up wash, it wants to evaporate, dull out, fade out, any of those things. And I know there's clears and there's fixatives, and we've got all sorts of cool tools, but this is just the way I was doing it. So then I'll take this now, and I'll just go in and play with it and see what I end up with. Oh, okay. Well, that'll work. I can try that. That'll work better. Michael just saved the day. He brought in a big slab of porcelain that I can drop and break. Let's see what we got here.
Casmindia wants to know if we're going to hear another Reaper story today since we have you here.
Man, I'm not allowed to tell those without unsupervised.
I mean, that's true. You are not supervised.
Let's see. A good one that I could tell. Well, it's an odd one. The one that first comes to mind is we actually had a prostitute. Can we see it? You can't see the... Where is that one there? Okay. I need to move it this way.
I like that you began that story and then just
Stopped?
Yeah, just stopped.
Because I already know
Leave it
the
there.
end, right? Okay.
Okay.
So you're not really going to be able to see in there. But what I'm looking for is I'm wanting, you could call it a thick wash. I don't know. So the objective is I put it on, I'm going to want to see both the white and the black is a wash. It's sort of going to highlight for me and all work at the same time. Now this gray isn't that dark, but it's watery enough to now get on there and pull it, and then I'm just going to leave, because we're going to want to put some markings on there. What are you trying to do? Shift the camera?
Yeah, to make it easier for you.
Yeah. There we go. He's here. We need him.
See that knob right there on the side? There you go.
There's so many knobs. Twisting.
There is. That's good. It's a good tripod. Good tripods have lots of
That's what they do. They put lots of knobs on there.
Yes, I can confirm that good tripods typically have lots of knobs. Typically.
Yeah. Almost there. Didn't make quite enough. So, as you see, I'm not worried about staying in the lines, but I get it on there and it's watery. We're going to let it sit back and dry. And in this particular case, what we're looking for is subtle contrast when it actually comes down and is fully dried. On the dwarf, we're going to we're going to put another coat of on the yellow. To build that color up just a little bit better. Yeah, and we'll let that dry. And at this point, we're sort of got them both wet. So a good the Reaper story. Not this shop, but a shop we had before this. And these are just weird little stories. Oh, now I've got a better one to tell than the prostitute. But we hired this girl, was not aware of this lady, and that particular shop was set up to where there were 3 different buildings we were all in. We had A block, A building, which was the offices, B block, which is the production facility, and then there was C, which was storage. And so in the production facility, they pulled orders, they cast, they pumped paint, they did everything else. And one day, the guy that ran the paint department came in and said, we have a problem. It says, we've got this girl over here that we hired, and she's turning tricks in the bathroom. And so anyway, I had to go deal with that incident. And so there's a Reaper story. So I had to go over there, and we had to let her go. And we couldn't be having that kind of activity going on the premises. And that sort of also is what led to us now doing background checks and all sorts of stuff like that. So that would be a good one. We also had a guy that was working for us, same shop, that came down, gave scurvy, contracted scurvy. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me, who in this century gets scurvy? And he was coughing so much, that's when he was told, you have to go get a doctor, but we can't deal with this. So he goes to the doctor. I'm coming back through the production department. So how's it going? He says, oh, fine. So what's going on? He goes, well, he says I have scurvy. And I was blown away. Who the hell in this century has scurvy? And so I asked him, I said, well, do you ever eat oranges, drink orange juice? What do you do? All he ever ate was ramen noodles, 24/7. That was the only thing he ever ate. So he contracted scurvy. And those are kind of the weird Reaper stories we've got, just to being exposed to regular human beings. All right. Although there is going to be a Reaper story tomorrow night, which is actually a very funny one, that Ron's supposed to, that Ron agreed that we'll tell it, because it involves Ron. All right, so we're going to want a little bit more on this.
Yeah, Mr. Scott G asked if we had always been in Denton, and I know that at one point we were in Louisville.
Actually, we started in
Fort Worth, right?
Fort Worth. It would
Yeah.
actually now be my ex-wife's house. Half of her garage is where Reaper started. And after about a year there, just working weekends and stuff like that, we moved to a shop up in Louisville, which is south of here, off of Mill Street. And not being in a great side of town and not being able to afford much, we couldn't work Friday nights or Thursday nights or Friday nights or Saturday nights, because to the left of us was a large house painting company. And their guys would get off work Thursday, Friday night, whatever payday, and they would sit up there and start drinking and get real drunk, which is fine. I mean, that's what they want to do. But then one night, next to us was a very large road. It had a lot of concrete pipes. I don't know what you call it. There's a roads equipment storage depot for supplies or whatever. And so they're out there with a pistol shooting it down the pipes, trying to get the bullets to rotate through. And so after that, we just said, well, we're not going to work Thursday or Friday or Saturday night anymore, because, alcohol and guns, we just didn't want to be part of that whole equation. And so from that shop, we moved over to one that was next to a graveyard, a cemetery. That was a really cool shop. We call that one Smith Street. The first shop I was talking about, we call it the submarine shop because it was a very long, thin shop, and with shelves on each side, unair conditioned. It was much like an old-fashioned submarine that you see in the old, I guess, black and white movies from that end. Okay, now what we're going to do real quick is I'm going to take a stiff. I've got some yellow on here, which we can see, and I'm going to take a stiff, just a brush, and just using water only, if this works for me. Usually I like to let it dry a little bit more, but we don't have that luxury. I'm just going to take this and go to the surface, and I'm just going to start rubbing this brush on this surface. And what I'm wanting to achieve here is I'm going to wear the surface down, and we're going to find that black underneath there. And in doing so, we're going to give it this. You can start to see, hopefully, I'm seeing it start to come through. And you can't get too aggressive with it. You can start to see where under the spikes it's got here, it's starting to turn a little black. But we're trying to give it that this shield has been around. It's already got some marks on it that show it's already taken some battle damage. So it's seen its days, leaned up enough walls, banged into enough bad guys. And I guess in another way to describe it, being a piece, it's just going to, the part of the piece that's sticking up in the air for all to see. I guess it is sort of a feature of the piece, so doing something sort of fun with it makes it go. And let's see, as you can see a little bit more there in the lower section, how the black or the gray underneath it is what's starting to come through. So the more I do this, the more of the effect we'll get, so it's however deep we want to go down to. And depending on, I use the flat because I can spread it around, and I'm constantly putting water on it, which is going to help break the paint down and soften it up to be able to do it. At this time too, this is where you could, and I didn't bring a sharp tool, but you could, I don't see anything, put scratches on it. This would be a time for that. I'm just trying to use my fingernail here. And get a few scratches in on the piece and some just actual paint chips. is what we'd sort of go for. And to me, I think less is always more in a way when I'm doing this. You want to get enough in there to deliver what it is that we're going to do, and we'll detail that in black. But I just, for now, I'd call that the shield, the face of the shield, the background done. So it's got some there, and we're going to let it sit and dry. And we'll go back to our catfolk, which now is a nice sort of yucky gray. And not that the way they want to be presented. So now to brighten it up, I would quickly go back to the white. Let me see if I can find it. There's a good one. White brush. I don't know if you're going to work. No, you won't dance with me. So anyway, we left that shop, and we're back at, from there, from Smith Street, which we had a lot of fun there. And then from there we went to, and in fact, we all pretty much in agreement that the place was haunted. The whole area was haunted, not just the factory. Being up there anytime, late at night, anywhere, it was definitely creepy. So after that one, we moved from there up to this building, and that would have been in '04. And we converted this, and we've been here since '04. So we've been in the Denton area at least for the bulk of it, except for that first year down in Fort Worth. And those that watch Reaper Live have heard we just purchased 5 acres. It's really all next door to us, and we're getting ready to put another building there, and eventually we'll keep this. For the plan is to keep this factory. We're not building a building and pulling this place down, but it now gives us the ability to expand. We're literally banged up in here pretty tight. Okay, so now with this, I've got on the dwarf, his drying, I've got a little of that. Let's go back over to here to this one. Pull some white. Okay. Michael, I need another card. Is there another blister card over there?
Let me see if I can get you one.
Okay. Actually, I can use the back of these. It'll work.
Got it?
I can do that, yeah. So all I'm going to do now on that gray is pull up, and we'll see if this works. Might have been nicer if we'd gone with a darker brown. But I'm going to do a dry brush, but it's not really a dry brush. I'm just going to less spot these areas around the knees. This would be fast. Oh, thanks, sir. That'll work. And we're trying to get the fur texture to just more or less pop and stand out, but also at the same time look like it's some form of a fur. It's not painted. It looks, trying to give it a realistic look. I guess that's the word or phrase I should be using. So it's more of a dry brush highlight affair. These little catfolk are fun. I have a cat, by the way, named Goose. She's 16 years old.
Is she really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She doesn't look it. I mean,
Not at all.
take care of her, but she's there. In fact, she's in an old casket work, sitting on top of one of my snare drums on top of a guitar amplifier. And I don't remember, I just remember the picture, but in one of the old casket works, our old metal catalogs from the 90s and the O's.
I did not realize she was that old.
Yeah. I don't think she does either.
Thanks,
Okay.
Brian.
So I don't know how well you can see it, but that did sort of pop together. We're now getting more of the cat look, cat furish kind of a development that we want. There's armor on this, and now we'll go pick that out, but that's our good foundation to work from there. On the dwarf, we need to pull up his armor. So don't really have, there's not really a black gold in the Pathfinder line, or a dark gold. We've got a very nice, just sort of, I would call it a mid-tone gold. So what I'm going to do is some of that, and then we're going to get, I saw here's some adamantine.
Dark Knight wants to know if Goose is named after Top Gun, like a reference.
No. Actually, I'll tell you the truth, it's not that PC, but you're going to hear it, is she had a sister, or has a sister. Well, she still has it, but in the divorce, I got Goose. She got Maverick, okay? Now, what happened, though, is they were discovered by a little girl. They were the two runts of the litter and were discovered by this small little girl in their front yard or somewhere in the garden or something like that. So she took it to the mom, and next thing you know, we've got these, through the mom to marry my ex-wife. But anyway, Goose is about, I'll put it down here, about that big. And we're having to feed her with the eyedropper, you know, this kind of stuff. I mean, literally from there. And so what she developed real quick, and the plan was, and that you always have this plan, is we're going to get them up, get it old enough, this, that, and the other, and then we'll home them. We'll rehome them. Well, after 10 minutes, that's really just a useless. That's not going to happen. You're keeping them. But we hadn't named them, and we kept telling ourselves, oh, we're going to rehome them. So what she did is she goose stepped everywhere. She didn't really walk in a way. She just goose stepped. And so we just started saying, well, there's Nazi Kitty or something like that. Well, when it came time to actually have a name for her, you can't use that as a name. So we just started to call her a Goose for that purpose. And then so the sister became Maverick just out of default. And so it's how we got to the Goose Maverick, but not because of the movie itself. And I didn't even realize until I watched the Last Avengers. What was it? The last movie.
In-game?
In-game. Where that Nick Fury's his cat's named Goose, and I thought that was, I had no clue until I saw that in the movie, because I don't really read. Ron's the comic guy around here. Okay, on this armor, I'm sort of at a loss for it. It's got a woven look, a stiff leather look. I guess we could go with a brown. We can go start with that. And here we're going to sort of do the exact same thing again. This particular paint is that right there, Wongi Brown from the Pathfinder. And just like you saw me do before, we're going to mix some water.
Oh, look, Rhonda's now following.
Who is?
Rhonda.
Rhonda.
Yeah, Rhonda. Wait a minute, Rhonda, you've been watching from the beginning. Did you just now follow?
Oh, is this Rhonda?
Yeah, as in Rhonda, as in the best painter we have.
Yeah, her and Proctor are the king and queen, that's for sure.
That's true. No offense to anyone else, especially Anne.
Yeah, I now feel humbled that she's watching the show. Hi, Rhonda.
Oh, she's cringing too.
Yeah.
You better believe.
So.
Yep.
So I get it, and I don't know if you can see that color on there. Not really, but you can sort of see my mess. But again, it's a very watery version of the paint, but not a wash. And then what I'm going to do is the same thing we sort of did with the skin, is I'm just going to go in and pick out these leather areas. Now when you do this, and where I got this particular idea, or this technique, for lack of a term for it, was back in Heritage in the early or mid-'80s, before they went out of business. I was in college up here in Denton, and we would go down there. They were based out of North Dallas, and Duke Seidfried had developed what he called the stain painting technique. And what it involved is you prime the figures light gray or white or whatever you want to call it, and you just water your paint down and wash it on, and you don't worry about it, you let everything do the rest. And so it's sort of a different version of that, because with the paint's so watery, when I stick it on, it wants to spread around and do a lot of that for me real easy. And then when it dries, it shows the lighter parts through it. So that's where I got this thing, to be able to do figures fast and then have a really nice look. Because Duke, if you look up Duke Seidfried, he's passed away just a few years ago, and or last year I think it was. And man, he could paint. He would sit in that hotel room. He could paint 1,000 models in a night, it seemed like, using that. It was just incredible. He also ran really good games. He was real big on the pageantry, and he's just a neat guy. But he's referred to as actually the grandfather of our industry, and rightly so. He used to be in a motorhome and would travel around to all of the hobby shops selling them figures and D&D and all sorts of stuff to get people into playing adventure games.
Hey, Rhonda just called you a kid, by the way, Ed.
A kid?
A kid, yeah.
Okay.
Because apparently you're into Twitch.
I'm into Twitch. Okay, yeah. I'm into a lot of things I guess I shouldn't be.
And actually, earlier, Trash Rama asked a question. They ask in the new print catalogs, he said, they ask if it's possible to get the SKUs for both metal and bones under the pictures of the model. Obviously, the print one's already done, right? But
right. Well, the plan is to bring back a casket works, bring back casket works. So all of the models that are in metal will be there, and then all of the bones and the plastic stuff will be in the bones. You can't really do. We could do one, but I think it would not really be a good service. There's just a lot of people that are only interested in the plastic or the metal, and especially at the store level, we like to get the catalogs down to that level. And there are a lot of stores that carry both or just the bones, kind of a thing. So now, as you can see here, we get sort of the same effect. The cameras, from what I'm seeing, at least on my screen across the room, you're not catching the effects, but you might be able to see it in the shoulder and stuff. But the brown is settling down into the lower recesses, and so you're getting a bit of a contrast that helps pull the whole thing together. And now we're going to go, he's dry enough. There, this is where I left off, is we had, I'm just going to play here, wing it. I want to make a dark gold. Perfect. This looks like a grimy gold.
I have no idea, Mr. Scott G. That would be a Ron question, I think.
What is it?
He asked if are the Pathfinder and D&D games at ReaperCon up on Grotix yet?
That is a wrong question. That's a good question. They had Grotix up earlier down in the conference room and were working, but I don't know what they were working on.
Also, just in case people just tuned in, hashtag free for the giveaway today.
Yes. For those that just turned in, I need to probably repeat this a few times. Anne got called away today unexpectedly, and nothing bad, nothing weird. But so she's off, and I was able to hijack the show, or I was hijacked for a show. It's sort of a mutual. And so I'm in here, but as far as we're all aware of, you will have Anne back next week, back on the Dragons. And the function for those that are coming in to see what we're doing is we're trying to have these figures painted to some sort of a fun level inside, finished inside the hour, so that you can use them for your D&D game tonight and not be embarrassed that you're one of the primed candidates or the unpainted or whatever. Although I used, even when I had miniatures and painted for years, I used tokens and coins and just about anything you could find. So here we're doing the same thing. I've got this sort of yucky gold. It's sort of a, by adding the adamantine to it, it sort of turned it a goldish green. I mean, gold technically isn't going to tarnish, but it gives me a good darker color that I can highlight against. And in this particular case, it was more of, again, I'm not really dry, I guess you call it dry, I don't know what you call it. I'm just putting it on there and hitting the highlights where the white was versus where the black. Oh, and in late breaking news, oh, now I have even more cards. Thank you, sir. So as you tell, we were prepared. And that dried pretty quick. So we are going to go on into the next one. So at this point, all I do is, since I mix those two together, in areas I'd want it darker, I would go grab the darker, but this particular case, I'm just going to go grab some of the gold that was used. And if you'll note, I didn't clean my brush. That's on purpose. I sort of like to make those transitions as I'm moving from the under to this, just leave it in there, just sort of a habit. And in this case here, I'm just again sort of hitting the highlights. And I'm wanting it to look like, more than anything, a textured metal. Sort of picking up a Roman color, which I hadn't really thought about because of the gold, but so that's where we are with him.
Exactly, Rhonda. I agree.
I'm not reading what you say.
She said, not being prepared just better simulate scrambling to be ready for tonight's game. Because that's
There
the
we
whole
go.
point.
That is the equation. Okay, so now then I'm going to use that. I used the charred brown. We're going to go. That was the close. What was the? I didn't use that. I used this. So I need a highlight for that. So what we're going to do is just add some white to keep it simple to the brown we used, so that we can pull up those armor highlights. And it's going to be pretty light, but as I said, I like contrast. I think they stand out. You're almost painting the figure to look good from 3 or 4 feet away, because that's where you're looking at. It's in the middle of the table, more so than up close like you would if you were painting for a competition level. I don't know if any of y'all have ever watched James Wapple paint. And it's actually very enjoyable because as he's painting, it is more like watching an adventure unfold. This would be more to that idea. So let's see if you can see more of how the armor's progressing. It's hard for me to tell. I hope that is pulling through.
Towards the camera.
Yeah.
A little too close.
A little too close.
Right there.
There we go. So now we've got sort of the gray, dirty grayish cat folk with the highlighted armor. You can probably see a little bit better there on the pads. They don't look like they're uniform, but here up close they do. Pull some more. So that's sort of, you can see there on that shoulder pad, that's what we sort of did with on the arms and over here. And so it's now giving you sort of a subtle used textural look. And we're back to the dwarf. Now the armor, at this point, I still think looks sort of horrid. So what we're going to do is pull up some copper, which doesn't work with it at all, technically. And we'll see what happens. So again, it'll be more of a spotting with that color. We'll see how it goes, see if it warms it up. I think that's going to help a little bit, yeah. We don't want him to look like he's... So really, I guess with the copper, what I'm really doing is adding a red to the... I don't really understand the technical side of what I would be doing, but I just know it works. How's that? For not being technical.
So, Trash
I'm sure
Rama
that by
asked,
now Rhonda's screaming at her monitor.
Oh, yes, I imagine she is. Trash Rama asked, when/what was the last game that you played?
In which genre? Okay, in RPG, I played in Bobby's. We had the artists in town. When was that about?
Oh, you played...
In Bobby's D&D game.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a lot of fun. I play a mouseling in that. And that's sort of a floating dungeon. And Bobby is such an awesome DM because he's just so animated and everything. So for that, for computer games, I played last night Age of Empires, for those that could remember that. My brother and sister-in-law and I will get together and have fun with that once or twice a week sometimes. I did look up, though, and over the years of playing, because it's been on this same computer for a while, I had over 1,000 hours I've played in Age of Empires.
Did you see that they're remastering it again?
I saw it in the news. I haven't looked.
Yeah.
I don't go do beta. I'm not doing any of that
No,
kind of
no.
stuff. I mean,
Yeah, during E3 they announced they were going to redo the art style and stuff, and then I think they're acknowledging that the best one they've ever made was #2, and they're just going to make it better.
that one better.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked Empire Earth. Those RTSs are fun. Played Serious Sam not too long ago. Did my brother and I will do a lot of Left 4 Dead on the computer, and he even wrote levels for a while. He's dabbled with that. And we played in that. That's a really good, just fun blow-off game. Then on my phone is Pokemon Go. I play that. I just hit level 40 in that. And then on Switch, I did Mario Kart. I love that. And I like playing the Pokemon on that with Eevee. Pokemon, whatever it is with Eevee.
I was about to say, there's the new ones coming out in November. Are you going to play that on the Switch?
I don't know. We'll just wait and see. It just depends. I'm more of a mood. If it grabs me, I look at it. Usually what happens is with the grandkids or somebody or some, and they're playing the game. So I end up playing it. Well, this is fun. So I sort of use them as my vet for a lot of that kind of stuff. So for games, that would be it. I have a lot of hobbies. That's really, and that's probably a bad thing. This armor is still just screaming too loud. We'll just sort of step off into nowhere here and see if I can pull it down. But I do the games. Let's see, another cars. My brother and I do a lot of car stuff. Let me try this down here. Yeah, what I've done is watered down some adamantine, and I'm just going to put it on there really thick as a wash to sort of pull it all back down. It was looking too harsh, would be the word I guess I would throw. And that shield's going to need something else on it to call it to go. So while that's drying, we'll go back to the cat folk. See where we are on that. Now we need to pick some details out. I like to work obviously from the inside out. So what I'm going to need to do now, and we would use some colors. Take like a red for a belt, or whatever that would be. Some white. There's not really a whole lot here as far as detail. But I see the belt that holds the quiver. So to put a little color in it, see if I can get it. There we go. I'm a brush licker. I just now realized that. I always see people talk about that. So when I'm now doing this, I don't want to have to go back and add highlights. Again, that you choose up time. So I just try and hit it and stay in the center of the area that I'm wanting to do in this particular case, that belt. And I just sort of stay away from the edges. I get as close as I can, but I don't want to have to redefine anything. So we get that, and to complement that, we'll put the top of the quiver has a fold to it, so we'll come along with that. Wrong brush for this, but that'll work.
Hey, we had planned on going to more conventions in 2020, correct?
Yes.
Do we have a rough idea of which ones and how many, that kind of stuff? Is there a remote?
The season will start off, usually it's PAX South in January. Then it will be Gamma, which is the consumer trade, the retail trade show. Stores are attendees. It's not a consumer show, so we don't really sell anything. We're just showing off new releases. After that's Adepticon. Then we'll be back at Origins, and then PAX Unplugged. And it was Origins and PAX Unplugged we had to let go because this year, so that we could just go ahead and take care of all our growing pains and get them fixed. So we'll be back at those shows. Now in Australia, that will be at PAX Australia. And in the UK, he's been doing those shows, and I honestly haven't taken time yet to go back and look at the schedule there. But we've hit some smaller shows. We haven't done Salute or any of those. But of course, the best one out of them all is ReaperCon, which is here in a few weeks, I think about 5 weeks. I know we're getting ready to start into that season real heavy. But that's really, out of all the shows, that ends up being the best, for us, or for me, is the most fun across the board. And its focus is painting and all of that stuff. So I'm going to now take some of that buff we used on his shield and pop some of the wrappings. There's sort of, it's hard to tell if you don't have the figure, but there's some wrappings that are holding the bindings that are holding the sheath, the sword sheath together. So we're going to pick some of those out. He's got some buttons. But now one of the things I'm doing, again, to help speed this up is I'm usually using the same color through and through as much as possible. Because again, the whole point is I can always come back at a later date and tighten him up or play with him or whatever. I'm just trying to make sure I have something to put on the table tonight. In fact, too, I don't even know. I'm not even watching time, so.
You have approximately 11 minutes to have 2 minis done in 1 hour.
I can do it in 11 minutes, but I don't know if I want to show it. Let's see. Eyes are a tricky thing. We'll go ahead and do the folks' eyes. I'm quite the opposite than Ron. I don't, if I take my glasses off, I've got incredible up close vision. It's far away, I can't see. Screwed that up. And do we have a...
So actually, Ed, I'll tell you about this. Last week during Ann's stream, it came up in conversation that we, as in like Collins and I and a group we got together, planned on playing Pathfinder 2.0, like the second edition. When it launches in, I think it's like a week now. I think about a week, a little over a week. Anyway, we had a bunch of support for us to stream that up here. And so to kind of talk about Pathfinder, since we're talking about Pathfinder paints, would you like to stream some Pathfinder at some point down the road?
Yeah.
Maybe do some guest appearances as a DM or a player or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm terrible as a DM because I'd rather play.
Yeah, we're definitely experimenting with different shows and stuff with the network that we're setting up here. Hence why we have Ed painting right now.
So to go with the naturals, so I have it 11 minutes. Man, there's no pressure.
Now it's 10 minutes.
Yeah. You're just trying to bait me because you keep talking about stuff.
No, I would never.
Distract me.
Mm-mm.
All right.
Also, they're commenting on the fact that you lick your brushes.
Yes, I'm a brush licker.
You're a brush licker.
Yes. It's a good way to get a point. Okay.
I would, Rhonda, but there's a good chance we get demonetized as a result, since YouTube loves to capture audio and just get rid of it because they're kind of.
What was the question?
Rhonda asked Rhonda suggested we cue up the Jeopardy countdown music.
Oh yeah.
And
no joke.
I would love to do that, but YouTube is absolutely crazy with their, demonetization.
So we go to that.
Trash Ramen, no, we have not received it back yet. It's still in the repair shop.
What?
The other camera.
Yeah.
So our Reaper Live show is going to probably not have an up close cam again. Maybe, we'll see. No, these are Bones 4 models, you said, Ed?
Yes.
Yeah, these are Bones 4. And yes, there is a freebie, Dr. Bob. We're giving away a couple more bottles of the Drow Nipple Pink.
Which I guess that's Ann's giveaway. So we will continue that.
Mm-hmm. We thought we might give some away until ReaperCon, which we have a handful more weeks. So people have lots of chances, I think.
It gives some continuity to those that I disappointed by showing up and not being Ann.
Oh. And I think all those people left already. I think we have an entirely new group of people here at this point.
That's good.
We have to, because there's no way those people who watch Ann would stick around and watch you.
Watch this, yes.
Yeah,
You're talking
no
about
way.
going back to the caveman days here. So, I think we had a waste gray. Oh. Some more white. White can be your friend when you're looking for colors. You don't have time.
Twitch, however, Rhonda, is a little less crazy. Although I think they like to mute audio when we do that. So, and I can't recover it at that point. Unfortunately, we would just have Ed explaining things and we would have muted audio likely. I mean, people like their music.
All right. That's what it's all about. Thought I had a black.
Trashorama suggests an entire set of paints derivative of nipples. Orc nipples, drow nipples.
Dude, I'm with you. I mean, I've just,
We could even promote it. They said we could promote it during the month of October for breast cancer awareness.
yeah.
Have the entire case be a bright pink. Wow.
I went after that. I don't know if you've ever gone down the lipstick aisle and looked at the names of lipsticks. But if you get bored, try it sometime. It's very amazing. And I thought we'd just name a lot of paints that, but I was outvoted.
Dr. Bob also has another question, Ed.
Yes, sir.
He said that he said that in the one of the last live shows you guys mentioned we would be making more of the Reaper paint bottle pokers.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah, we'll do a production run of them in metal. I'm also already in the process of getting that done on to actually turning those into a plastic where we get them produced on a massive scale. But the ones that you'll see or have seen are actually cast here in the shop, so they're all handmade by hand, which is fine. They're perfectly good. It just takes a lot of time. We don't get the quantity we need to meet the demand, so we can't really release them as an everyday thing. Plus the cost would make it prohibitive. Metal's so damn expensive.
Hey, did Ann name the the Pathfinder paints, or did Paizo?
Paizo did.
Paizo named
This
all
was
of them.
actually one of their projects.
Okay.
Eric Mona. It was been his. He sort of ushered this whole through. I believe he's second in command. He's up there in the hierarchy at Pathfinder, and he just took this into his project years ago. We got it all done, and he just stayed with it the whole time, including the naming. Okay, now I'm going to say that the catfolk is done. There we go, and that'll get us going. We'll try and get a better picture later that we can put up there. Now we're working on the dwarf. I'm sure I'm already out of time, but or very close to it. But really what's left on the dwarf is shield work. A lot more is left on the dwarf than I would like, but that's just what it is. So like in the case here of his beard, we could go back, work on it, the skin. I could do that. It's more of the shield. To really have fun with that shield is going to take some time. I'll sort of show you what I would do. Is he needs some sort of a cross on it, so I'd go back in and grab some red and for speed's sake or something, I'd get a line, I don't know, trim, do something with it in red to be able to pull that up, but we won't mess with that. We'll just go ahead and see how far we can get and get him done. So we will go with the dwarven skin. And we water it down, sort of like we did the other stuff.
Dark Knight asks, by the way, Ed,
Yes.
if there was a certain amount that you needed to order to get items other than the earbuds added.
Other than yes, each item has a dollar tier. I don't know what that is. But as an order gets larger, the box in theory gets larger, and so there are larger items. That's how you get into the mouse pad or the stuff like that, the larger stuff. I think the bottom line is a sticker. Ron, again, that would be, I'd have to go down there and check. I should know these things, but off the top of my head. But that would involve brain space. Oh, he's got an eye patch. That's why I couldn't find an eye. Huh, it's interesting. Not quite what?
You've consistently moved away from the one
Oh.
that you're supposed to be in.
That right here. I lost my spot. There we go.
There we go.
Sorry. Should've
Look
said something.
conveniently above the tape that we placed.
Yes.
Conveniently.
Yeah, but I placed cards on top of the tape so that I could have plausible deniability as to why I was hiding.
It's okay. I'm used to chasing you with autofocus anyway,
Yeah.
Ed. It's like herding cats. It's okay.
Yeah.
I expect to have to do it.
So we get some flesh in there. It's going to wash down thin on the hair Same thing. We take that earlier again to save time. I'll just go use that brown we used earlier and water down. Want to water a little bit more.
I like that Grim 444. Grim asked if she was going to be painting, Anne was going to be painting dragons next week, or breaking them of the bad habits they've learned today.
Probably, yeah. She'll start with breaking the bad habits, I'm sure. We've definitely had that habit debate a few times.
But no, she will likely be continuing the Dance of Death because it's a pretty cool mini.
Oh yeah, no, she'll continue that and just have complete plausible deniability and ask you to erase anything you saw. Okay, so we got his beard.
You can buy swag bags separately, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Swag bags will be able to be ordered. They'll all ship after the show, but you'll be able to order as many as you want, and they'll have pictures of content, everything up like we've done in the past. This year they really tried to ramp up to make sure we had enough content to be able to continue to supply all the bags as needed, or that are demand. In the past they keep running out, so.
Oh, also Ed, time's up.
Time's up. All right. Well, then we'll go from there. So what we have, let me find a decent surface to put these on so you can see them. What did he bring me? Oh, Bones Black Card works. So
Well, those look good, actually.
for a 1 hour paint job, now what I did not finish on the dwarf was the hammer. There's a real good little cool technique you can use. In fact, I have a brush I've used it for. This is just an old junky brush, but it stays together in a flick kind of a thing. So if you'll put some red paint on the end of it, or on the brush, and if you want to do spattered paint on a weapon or whatever, you just flick it like that. And so now on the face of that hammer, instead of painting it red, it's now got these little spots, whatever you want to call it, that kind of a thing. So I would definitely add that to it. I'd finish his handle and the thing, be inside of the shield. That'd be a simple pick. I would put on the back of his shield some sort of a colored stripe. Probably I was thinking of blue or something we could do that same fading technique to, and then pop and black the pieces and tap them with gold or something. And he would be pretty much done. He'd still need a little wash on that. For now, for the cat folk, that was pretty much done as far as that, although it's now got blood on him from the flick. So he's already seen that. But,
people
for just a real fast, I've picked out, you've got your fur, you've got some armor, you've got some color to sort of splash it from that effect, and that would really it. So in 1 hour, you're now ready to go play or whatever you need to do. So I don't know, was that really an hour?
Yeah, that was an hour.
Damn, that went by fast.
They also named your models for you.
Did they? What do I have?
We have Captain Hammerpants and Persia.
Persia. Okay, Hammer Pants. That's good, Dr. Bob. I like that. Hammer Pants and Persia. Got red too. Yes, the cat got red too. So, but anyway, that's fun. I mean, that's just sort of how I've done it for years to pop some figures really fast in an afternoon for the game that night or whatever. So, I hope you learned something. You learned the blood spattering technique. The trick to that is you really do need a cruddy old stuck together brush that'll allow to spring and flick, and you can do that with a lot of things. So. What are they feeding me? Nothing right now. Let's see. You could never do that. Well, that's because you actually take time. You look, yes. Okay. So anyway, more red. What else do we have? Is that it?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, the giveaway.
Oh, the giveaway. Oh, that's the best part.
Most important part. So go ahead now, if you guys would. Hashtag free if you haven't already. Type that real quick. We'll give you a second or two to get those in.
Is the bone? No, actually, some of the remaining 4 bones items are already up or will be up very soon. The last of that was taken care of with Ron yesterday, and he's going to be putting those up in cycles. The price, though, if you have it, if you want to go look in advance, is what the non-backer price was on the. But you can't go to the Pledge Manager anymore, can you? So yeah. It'll be the same price you saw before online for these. These are in bags. They aren't, packaged for resale or anything like that. So,
The website's up. You can still check the prices there, but you can't pledge there. So like you because of our graphics, we put $50 for this. You can see.
Oh, okay.
Like the boxes, but the individual.
well, Michael's telling us how that we can see. If you get on there, they're probably on there. You just have to, you can find graphics, things like that, they'll have it. But those should be up, I would think, in the next few days. Hopefully by tomorrow night, because that's really been, 3 weeks we promised that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured I'd get that today.
So since we're giving away 2 bottles of the Drown Nipple Pink,
Just 2? How many people are in here?
just 2. We're
How many
giving
are
away
in
2.
here?
Proportionally, there is 43 currently.
43 in there.
Mhm.
How many do, it was a big bucket I found.
It was a big bucket. If
Time.
yeah, if you're yeah, we're giving them away each week. We don't have to, we don't have to give away the whole bucket today.
But not 2 bottles. Not 2
Fine,
bottles.
we'll go to 3, 2 and a half.
How about 10? 25% of the people, 10 bottles.
That's 40% of the people.
That's 40%, Ed.
Okay. That's good. 10 bottles.
10 bottles. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Well, then 10
I was getting
bottles
ready
it
to drink
is.
my paint water. I was reading something about that just the other day.
And of 2 of those, 2 of those are going to include those minis right there. So 2 of those orders will have.
These painted ones? Or the actual just, are you going to send these?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
You're
fine.
You're not gonna keep them, right?
Correct.
No.
Yeah, and I don't want them in my office anymore
Why?
because I have enough of these half-painted minis in my office.
Yes, we have half.
That's fine. They're going to go as is. I'm not going to finish
No,
them.
I agree.
Right. So.
All right. So 2, these are going to go in 2 of the orders.
Yes, 2 of the
One
lucky
in
winners.
one of each of 2 orders, or 2 in 1 order?
No, 1 of each in 2
In
separate
2 orders,
orders.
2 separate orders. That'll
So-
be fun.
So
Yeah.
2 of you getting paint bottles today will also receive one of Ed's minis.
There we go.
We'll receive Captain Hammerpants and Persia.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right.
So
Well,
who do we
then,
get? Who do we get? Who are the lucky ones?
Let's see here.
Better not see Reaper Dave.
Reaper Dave.
Reaper Dave. Yeah, no, we can't draw Reaper Dave. All right. Okay, we have. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and just draw.
No, it's not
all of
Ron.
these.
Reaper Dave is our accountant. He's my brother. He's the money man. He's the one that keeps us around.
All right.
Are
Our
you ready?
10 winners, since we're
Are?
giving away 10 bottles, are starting with Dr. Bob 7815,
Oh, okay.
Cajun Mage.
Yes, that's yeah.
I'll go ahead and announce these as I say them. Solar Wind, Avrelina of Darnassus, Pezler Polychromatic, Bofi Fett, J. Schwartz 35, The Last Starfighter. I like that movie, actually.
Yeah, that's actually a great
That's a
movie.
good movie. Kuroneko 589,
Uh-huh.
and Alcedes 1617.
Wow. Well, congratulations to all of you.
Yes. And it'll be completely random as to which one of you receive these minis.
Yeah, he'll
So-
box them all up and then take the
Right.
boxes down there and do them. Now, what is it they need to do?
They need to email me at. Do you remember the email, Ed?
No,
It's
Not at all.
reaperlive at.
but this is the toolbox.
It is, but it's the same email.
Save me about
For
it. So
simplicity's
reaperlive at
sake.
reapermini.com.
Reaperlive
Oh, okay.
at reapermini.com. I need a valid shipping address. I need your Twitch handle, and
That's it.
That's it.
And then we get it out to you. And you usually ship. I usually see them shipping them. If the show is today, you'll have them by Monday. They'll be on the road.
Usually within a week. It depends on
Yeah.
other things we're getting done, but yes.
All right.
So
All right. Oh wait, Silverthorn says they didn't get anything yet.
No.
Did you win before and it just hadn't shown up?
yeah, I don't think I've received. Every email I've gotten, I've shipped stuff out to. So it's possible maybe the
Okay.
email didn't go.
Alright.
Go ahead and send another email, Silverthorn. If
It's paid for. Thanks. I got it'll come out of my paycheck. The extra paint giveaway.
right, and that's Dave. So
I know.
And
It's a
it's
tough guy.
reaperlive at reapermini.com.
Mini.com.
I'm gonna go ahead and type it in chat here.
So anyway, I'm glad y'all, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll go ahead and since these are going to ship out, I'll dink with them here a little bit more, and so you have something done. So if that's it,
You just have to email your Twitch handle there, Starfighter, and
Yeah.
then a valid shipping address. That's
Okay.
it. That's all you got to do.
all right. Well,
But
That's
outside
it.
of that,
we'll see y'all later. Oh wait,
actually,
what else
you
is
know
it?
what? If you guys get these minis, go ahead and post them to maybe Twitter and then tag Reaper.
Yeah,
in
really,
it.
whatever you can do.
Put them on
That'd be fun.
Facebook, something. Just share it with social media so we can see it.
Yeah.
We're curious where they end up. So.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much, and
You
you
take
have
care.
a great weekend. Or those of you who are going to tune in tomorrow night, we'll
I'll
see
see
you
you
then.
tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Central Standard.
Absolutely.
Reaper Live. I'm going to try and get more stuff out of Ron, too, so we can show some fun stuff. All right.
Bye,
Well, you take
guys.
care. We'll see y'all later.